The boys are back. Don't
What
hate
up?
us. We had
Boys
some
are back.
technical shit we had to
Boys are
take care
back.
of. So it was all of us, Megan. It wasn't me. It wasn't them. It was all of the above. But we're here.
She's
Wow. Wow.
impatiently waiting.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely impatient. KDL, Megan, that's Steve, who is Steve on screen as well. What is up, my guys? I feel like it's been forever since we last chatted. So, Matt, we'll start with you. What's one big thing that is new since the last time we talked?
The only thing on my mind right now is I'm leaving for Mexico on Thursday, and my kids have no idea about it. We're surprising the
shit.
shit out of them. They're completely oblivious.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Yeah,
exciting.
we
Get away
gotta.
from the snow.
Yeah, there's so much of it, and it's been so cold. So this is like the perfect time to go. It's been so bad. But we got a swim up room, which is the first time we've ever done that, and the kids are gonna lose their mind. We're gonna tell them Wednesday evening after school, and we leave the house Thursday morning at like 3:30 in the morning. So
That's
they're gonna have like
amazing.
5 hours to prepare before bed. It's gonna be great.
Probably would be one of the most hectic bedtimes because everyone's going to be so excited.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Good luck sleeping, you fuckers.
right. I mean, I'm sure we all do that as parents. Like, I wait to the very last second, sometimes even on the drive there, before I tell G like what we're actually doing. Because if not, it's when are we leaving? When are we leaving? Is it time to go? Is it time to go? You know what I mean? So you are
brutal.
setting yourself up for a very challenging bedtime that
yeah, 100%. But at the same time, like, the kids prefer that. I think they love being surprised with shit.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you bring up a little surprise to them, they're like, oh my God, it's the most exciting thing ever. It doesn't matter what it is. So a surprise of this size is going to be ridiculous.
Have you been before with them? Have you ever gone before?
Yeah. We've done a few trips with them over the years. Yeah, so they're pumped.
They're excited.
I'm pumped. They're not excited yet. They will be, but I am. I'm
to get out of the
struggling
snow.
not to tell them. It's been hard. It's been really
What
hard
if they're
not to say
watching?
anything.
What if they're watching right now?
I know they could be watching
Oh my
us
God,
somewhere.
that's right. All the kids with their tablets at school.
They could find it. They could just, search your name. Oh, that's my dad, and he's just talking about what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. These kids are getting tablets and iPhones younger and younger and
I'm
younger.
gonna do everything I can to avoid that for as long as possible.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So Garrett has an iPad, but he only gets to use it on the weekends, and we're very specific on what he can look up. So he is obsessed with sports and stats and information and that kind of stuff. And so he can look up that stuff, but anything, sounds like I am on a laptop. Let's see. Do I sound okay? So for him, we're very, very specific. Yeah, you are absolutely right. So it is me. All right. How do I sound now?
Oh, that sounds crisp.
Way better. Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Joseph, what the fuck, man? You're making me allowing me to sound like shit. But he can only look up specific things. You know what I mean? Like, he can't just have a free for all and be on it whenever he wants. It is connected to my phone, so if he wants to FaceTime my father or anything like that, like, he can have that access and stuff like that. Steve, what is one big thing since the last time we talked that you would like to share with us?
I mean, I can't help just because of my, I think they call it like recency bias of just like the nearest thing that you can recall. As I tried to run an ultra marathon 2 days ago. It did not go well.
I love how you preface that with I tried.
I
Can
tried.
You explain what try means.
So there's this thing in ultra, like, because everyone thinks about like half marathon distances, marathon distance, right? So you have like your 21 kilometers. I don't know what the miles is, and your 42 kilometers. But ultra marathon is kind of weird because it's basically anything above a marathon. But if you're gonna go run an ultra, sometimes it's just like an attempt because you might not finish, right? So I did this style of ultra marathon, which is called kind of like a backyard ultra, which is you run a 4 to 5 kilometer loop as many times as you can in the given time. So I had 8 hours and I only got 30 kilometers because it was so freaking cold. So
at least you had an excuse, right?
Well, that was my excuse. And I did get a blister because of the crampons. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I tried to run an ultra. I participated in an ultra, but I didn't get an ultra distance. So yeah, it was just a shit show.
I feel like you need to explain what a crampon is, because for those of us who aren't like big runners, that sounds like you're running with like
A
a
constant
tampon
cramp.
up your butt or something.
I mean, I don't tell my secrets. It did keep me on the course for quite a while. So a crampon is basically thank you for the help. Crampon is basically like a thing that you put on the bottom of your shoes so you don't slip on the ice. And that's it. So
Oh,
it's just
okay.
it adds some grip so you don't slip, which I did take off and then I proceeded to eat shit on the trail. But we had a good time despite nearly freezing my testicles off. Yeah.
Did you know that you
Nice.
were going to run in very, very cold weather when you decided to do this crazy thing?
Well, no, I signed up in like October, right? So like 3 or 4 months. And like this time of year where I'm at, it's so hit or miss. I think last year they said it was beautiful. It was like 4 to 5 degrees. It was like above freezing, sunny, no wind. But the year before that, it was like torrential rain. This year, it was just
Wait,
like an Arctic freeze.
beautiful at 4 or 5 degrees.
That's Celsius. We're
is
Canadian.
Celsius.
okay, because I was like,
We're Canadian.
4 to 5
knew it
degrees
right away,
doesn't
Steve. You said
sound
that, I
too
was like,
beautiful. So
You need the conversion table right in front of you.
okay,
when
go
we're
ahead,
talking.
continue.
Yeah, what is like 5 degrees in Fahrenheit? I don't know what that is. Still, it'd be 41. And
Okay,
there's Bobby
way
41.
different than what you.
Yeah, super confusing.
Yeah,
Oh my
but you
goodness.
guys are used to the cold, you know.
Not this cold. It's
No.
been bad.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
weekend was insane. Like we're hitting records from the 80s. It hasn't been that
Mhm.
cold since then.
Yeah.
Over here in Ottawa, anyways. Steve's pretty far from me.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
How far?
I'm like all the way on the East Coast.
Oh, so you guys are literally on separate sides.
I'm like Maine and then up a bit,
Yeah,
like up and to the right.
up and over. Yeah, it's been very cold here, and we have had more snow this year than we've had in a very, very long time. So the blizzard that we had yesterday seemed very close to our last storm, which was called Nemo, which was a ton of snow. We actually got snowed into Garrett's uncle's house because the store is on the hospital line, the grid line. So that came right back on, and obviously having to make sure that, you know, the refrigerators and the freezers don't freeze over and the pipes are fine and whatever. So that came right back on. So Garrett and I chose to go take care of his house, but had no power, had no heat. It was fucking freezing. It took them like 6 days to get any heat for us over there. So her uncle got to hang out here nice and warm. So this year, thank God we have a child. I'm like, I'm not switching nothing. You can go. I mean, they didn't lose power. It was very different, but they didn't lose power. But I'm like, I'm not switching nothing. I'm staying in my nice warm house. Like I'm not sharing. I'm sorry. I'm not nice anymore because I have a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old kid. So, but it's been very, very cold here. But G's been having a great winter. Your kids love the snow?
Yeah, I mean, we're not crazy winter sport people as a family. So the majority of what we do, or like the most that we'll do, I guess, is go out to an outdoor rink and like play some hockey or skate around and stuff. So that's like also very Canadian of us. But
It's very Canadian of you.
yeah, that's probably the extent of what we do winter wise. Actually, here in Ottawa, they have something called we have a canal here, and we have something called Winterlude, and they'll freeze the canal will freeze over in the winter, but they like take care of the ice, and you can skate on the canal. It's like the most Canadian thing you'll ever see, and they put up like beaver tail booths and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. That's got to be another Canadian thing.
I'm not.
It's basically
what are they?
just like, are you familiar with that, Steve? Is that just like an Ottawa thing? Okay.
Nope.
There you go, Winterlude. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
okay.
Canadian. Beaver tails are this crazy, like deep fried pastry thing, which is just like this flat ass donut, basically. And it's like literally this big, but it's just like this one flat powdered
I wonder
sugar.
if it's our comparison of like a fried dough. Like just
It sounds
fried
like
dough.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the sugar on it or like the
Exactly.
powdered sugar on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. So
It's
there's
perfect.
tons of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate winter personally. I would prefer not to do any of this. But I mean, we live here, so it's like try to make the best of it with the kids, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're all surviving winter. We're all in our own, have dealt with sickness at different points in life. And this winter, it feels like some of us, I mean, my kid was sick forever over the holiday break. And then my wife and I were both sick. But other than that, I have to tell you guys, I feel the best that I have felt in 10 fucking years. I have to tell you.
Hell
Like
yeah.
That's
I
dope.
just have to. There are days, there are mornings that I am waking up without pain,
That's
with
huge.
zero pain. My back is the strongest that it's been in a very long time. I'm realizing now that the localization of if I am having pain or symptoms is now all localized to the inside of my right hip. So it's very localized to my hip now. I don't feel it in my back unless I have done a very difficult workout. And Saturday morning was the first morning that I woke up in the same feeling that I used to wake up with all the time. And that's because I did a CrossFit workout at night, which I haven't done in a long time. And the workout was 19.1, which was the 19 wall balls, 19 calories on the row, back
Rows.
and forth.
Yeah.
Yes. And we did a gymnastics like gymnastic skill session before, so we didn't really have too much time to warm up for the workout. And so I knew that I had to be very mindful of how I moved, but I could feel how tough the wall balls were, but I knew that. And I wasn't scared of that. I just leaned into it, you know?
Nice.
So I
That's
knew, I knew that the next morning I was going to be sore. Didn't think I was going to be that sore, but I was really fucking sore. But that is the first morning, probably, I think it's been a week that I've woken up without pain. And I'm
And so how long before that?
How long before that? I was waking up with decreased pain. So I would say before that, it was probably three weeks. I was waking up with decreased pain. And then, you know, what's kind of funny is that I didn't realize I wasn't in pain until I woke up one morning and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was expecting the little roll that I would have to do to get up, or like the push if I'm laying down and I have to push myself up because I can't lift my core. Like I can't lift from my core. And that's the craziest part for me, is that I didn't realize that I wasn't in pain until one day I woke up and I was like, oh shit, I'm not in fucking pain.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's literally what this is all about, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Waking up with that, like forgetting that you even had pain to begin with is like the biggest win. That's
when
huge.
I tell you that I didn't, well, obviously you knew I didn't think that I was ever going to be pain-free, but to think that it happened so quickly. I don't even think I'm 6 months with you guys yet. And I'm already seeing like life-changing change. You know what I mean? And I think that is the most like speechless. I'm almost speechless. Like I don't know what to say of how much Primal has changed my life. Like it really, really has. And Steve, you've been putting a lot of reels up, and a lot of what you're saying is exactly how I'm feeling. And I'm gonna find the one, I don't remember where it is, but the other day when I was like, this message is like the message for Primal. And it pretty much was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it pretty much is like, if your back is hurting and someone's telling you to not do it, you probably should do it more. It was something along those lines, right? Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that for me was like,
It's a pretty
I'm
controversial statement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really, really is, because there's a friend of mine that came to me with that very statement, and she's like, my doctor told me I can't twist anymore. And I was like, why can't you twist anymore?
What does that even mean?
Right.
How do you not twist?
Right. I'm like, what do you
not
mean
rotate
you
your
can't? What do you mean you can't twist anymore? And she's like, because of, she took a class and she had such a back spasm that she went to a chiropractor and she went to her doctor and they both said, do not twist anymore.
That blows my fucking mind that people say that type of shit. It's insane. I mean, again, full disclosure, full transparency. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a chiro. I'm not a doctor. But to hear that blows my mind. Like, how are you supposed to build any capacity within your movements at all if you completely avoid them? That's just a recipe for further injury down the road.
And
continued
injury.
Exactly.
And continued pain.
Especially when you're talking to CrossFitters who are going to do it anyway. Like, how many CrossFitters are actually like, hear that advice, they go like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go, do a spin class. Like, they're like, I hear that
for the rest of your life.
That sucks. I'm going to tighten up my belt and do it anyway.
That's really what it is. Or bending down at the knees to try to grab something off the ground. Like, you can't hinge anymore.
You got to bend and snap.
Right. Seriously. Bring back the bend and snap. I mean,
100%.
You gotta put a move in Primal called the bend and snap.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious to hear more about the like. Obviously, we're going to talk about Primal stuff, and that's a big thing that you've introduced into your training that has helped you get to where you are right now, from like chronic pain into now seeing days without pain, which is huge. Honestly, huge props to you for that. But I'm curious to see like what you've noticed in the gym as a result too. Like, are you seeing gains like PRs with the bar? Are you even chasing that? Are you seeing more capacity with like your Metcons now? What do you like? Is there any additional things that you're seeing outside of that? I'm really curious to hear about that.
All of the above.
Oh, okay.
Really, really all of the above. So I have to say that the number one thing is I don't start dinner till later. It's not dinner time. It's only lunchtime, but I'll start dinner later. The biggest thing for me is I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah, that's massive. That confidence.
I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared to try something. I'm not scared to add weight for something. I'm not scared to challenge myself. I'm not scared of cramping. I'm not scared of sharp pains. I'm not scared of intensity. Whereas a couple weeks ago, there was a workout that was burpees, burpees over the box or something like that, or bar facing burpees or something like that. And I went to my coach and I said, I don't know if I can do all of these reps. And he's like, well, why don't you do he calls them the up downs, where you just go to a plank, you kick your legs back and then in and then stand. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do those. And then 3, 2, 1. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck this. And I went down and I did all the burpees and I was fucking fine. I just take my time on those first couple burpees, see how my back feels, but also get out of my own fucking way. It's all mental. It's huge, yeah. When you realize, and this is where your research and your program really comes to, the forefront, is that when I realized that it's like pain is information, it's not a stop sign. It's not a door closing. It really is like, okay, this is some information. What's the information that I need to absorb? I am squatting without a belt on. I am for multiple reps, heavy. Like I did 135 the other day with no belt and made sure I didn't wear a belt, and I didn't feel any pain in my back at all. Like I said, now it's all localized to my hip, but it's weird. It's not pain. It's there, but it's not pain to the level that I used to feel pain before. But I would say that, again, the biggest thing for me is the change in mindset and change in perspective of understanding that cramping is not a bad thing, that pain is not a bad thing. It's information, because every single primal upper body movement, I am cramping like crazy now. I am like, I go
see
to
it
do
as a good thing. Honestly.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm cramping so much. Or I did something,
jumping pull-ups in one of the workouts, and my lats were cramped so badly that I tried to do primal after, and I was like, there's no fucking way. I need to let my back relax before I do anything else. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing for me is the mindset shift.
That's huge. We have a list of principles that kind of guide our perspectives and guide our approach at Primal. And one of them is there are no dangerous positions, just a lack of preparedness. And I think that one thing that the fitness industry has done very well over the past multiple decades is to like fear monger certain things. And that drives me absolutely crazy because we need to do everything we can to get more people into the gym and staying in the gym for the rest of their lives. Like that is what we should all be striving for, is like when you walk into a gym for the first time, let's say you're new to CrossFit, for example, maybe it's for you, maybe it's not for you, but you walk into the gym for the first time, and I want to make sure that when you do that, you're not forced to take a step out, or you're not even contemplating that. And we need to find ways to like remove that dogmatic thinking that certain things are extremely dangerous, like knees over toes, spinal flexion. Sure, those both can be extremely dangerous, but so can squatting, so can benching, so can walking. You know, like everything can be dangerous if you do it beyond your capacity, right? And that's exactly what all of this is that in my opinion, I look at it, I flip the coin on that and think everything is inherently safe. Everything is inherently safe unless you approach it with too big of a stimulus, too much intensity, right? Like you can, you know, the other day I just jumped into a new program. Like I jumped back into the Brute, I think it's called Brute Body, Steve, right? Brute Body. I hadn't been doing Metcons for a long period of time. I jumped back into it, did 2 Metcons because I'm like, this is fucking amazing. I'm having a great time. It's kicking my ass and I'm loving it, you know, loving it. And then I get sick. I got sick 2 days later. You know, like that's kind of like a prime example of, you know, it's like that, but on like a more, that is like a more diluted version of what we're talking about here. You know, does that mean Metcons are dangerous? No, you would never say that. It just means like I went beyond my capacity. I wasn't ready to do that, and my nervous system was pretty shot. And then my snotty nosed kids were all up in my face, and I caught whatever they had. But I look at it the same way with movement patterns or different positions that are commonly compromised for various different individuals. Again, like knee over toe, spinal flexion, these different things that people generally hurt themselves in, or you know, could potentially cause some unwanted symptoms. That doesn't mean that those positions are dangerous. Like you bend your spine all the time. Neutral spine really isn't a thing. Like there's been research done that shows, like they put different simulators on people's spines and then have them go through various different movements attempting to maintain a neutral spine, and there was still flexion. So neutral spine is not a real thing. Like you're loading spinal flexion all the fucking time. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It's just what degrees are you loading it at? And, you know, I'm using spinal flexion because it's quite relevant right now. We're talking about your back pain, but if you go into like extreme spinal flexion and you've never loaded that before, and now you're trying to do that with like 135 pounds on the bar, now it's dangerous, right? Whereas before, if you go into extreme spinal flexion with no loading whatsoever, you're pretty fucking safe there, right? So it's like, what if we were to start there completely unloaded and then slowly build you up? It's the same concept you take with anything else when you're trying to get stronger. So why should it be any different in this? It's like, we're not trying to apply such a loading to the joints directly. We're trying to form an adaptive response to the tissues that surround the joints. That's how you build up strength and resilience and capacity. So that's everything that we talk about. So when you're saying that you're seeing more resilience, or like the fear that you used to have, you're not experiencing that in your lifting anymore. That's a prime example of what we try to instill in our people. So I mean, to me, that just shows that you're a good student and a great client, and you're doing the work exactly as we want you to do it. So
I'm pulling deadlifts. I'm pulling deadlifts off the ground. I have put myself on a deadlift cycle to again not get not allow the fear of the deadlift to stop me from where I want to go and how I want to move and how I want to, progress and whatever. And so I started doing 5x5 every week, and I add a little bit of weight each time, but making sure that my position is the best I can be in. And I'm also getting feedback from my CrossFit coach. So if I go to do it and he's walking around, I usually do it during like open gym and stuff. I ask him to come over and actually have that one-on-one time with him to watch me do my first set to make sure that my setup is correct. And again, I'm still not feeling it in my hand. I'm feeling it in my hamstrings, but my position is better, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit in my glutes and not in my back. So like we're still playing with, sometimes I'm too far forward, sometimes I'm too far back. I need to push through the middle of my foot and think of it more like a leg press versus a lift. Like I'm not lifting with my back, I'm pushing. A deadlift is a pushing movement. It's not a pulling movement. People think, oh, I'm pulling this weight off the ground. You could, but you're going to hurt yourself. You need to start from the bottom and push the floor away from you. And then as your legs straighten, your body will lift and the weight will come off the ground. And so we're really playing with that position. But I'm up to 105 for sets of 5.
It's huge.
5 times.
I remember you saying that the bar was scary.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying. There are still things that I have not done. A good morning for me is still all in my back. I still feel it all in my back. So if it's supposed to be a barbell good morning and warm up for a class, I put my hands behind my head and still do the good morning. I just don't put weight on my back. The pancake one that we do in Primal, where you're in a straddle position and leaning forward, I can't do that one yet. Like I just can't do that one. So what do? I do the breathing straddle. I put my hands down very lightly and I still get into the same movement, but I still have that stability that I need because I'm not there yet. And so I also don't get frustrated that I'm not there yet. I'm like, what can I do to continue to get there? You know what I mean? Like, fuck, I used to be scared of the Jefferson curl. I can't wait till you tell me to start like trying to do a Jefferson curl. Like I'm excited for those things where it's like before I was like, there's no way that I can do these. There's just no way that I can ever do these. And now I look forward to the day when it's like, okay, let's start, but we're going to start like neck, shoulders. That's all you're doing. And then each vertebrae, and you slowly bring yourself down. And then I'm going to send you that video one day where I do a full Jefferson curl with no fucking weight. And I'm going to be like, I've made it. You know what I mean? So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. But I'm not leading with fear. I look at mobility way differently now. I actually look at my movement way differently now than I did before.
Dude,
and that's because of you. Or this
it's such an awesome mindset to have too, because I really believe there's almost like there's this really cool book called The Expectation Effect that I've read probably like 5 times. I don't recall the author. It's been a while since I referenced it, but the whole idea that your beliefs are really like placebo, nocebo effect. So if you really believe something very strongly, you could essentially make it reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in the manifesting sense, but in terms of like how I see the context applying here would be like, if you are afraid of something like a deadlift and you believe in your mind like, hey, I'm gonna hurt myself on this deadlift, or I'm gonna hurt myself in a hinging pattern, and you believe that very strongly, it's like, how can that not set you up for just failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of just being anything that you do related to, there's the book.
I'll have to
it gives
get that.
a lot
That'll
of
be my next book.
It gives a lot of fitness context as well when it comes to like performance and stuff, and how even something like time can really affect someone's cardiovascular output. I definitely suggest it to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of just gives a context that, anything that you're afraid of, you really believe that it's dangerous. It's like, yeah, it's going to be dangerous for you. But once you can start switching that mindset of, I don't believe that it's dangerous for me, I'm actually excited to train this stuff, then even just that little shift can be such a huge gain, and finally like unlock mobility as like a training modality for you to actually start to lean into those positions. And that's what
Mhm.
sucks about the whole fear mongering thing, is that from top down, our health experts are basically instilling fear in us about these positions, because ultimately they think like if you hurt yourself doing that, you should probably stop doing it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it sucks so bad. And I should preface as well, I am not a I'm no health professional. But when you're talking to athletes and you tell them not to do something, it's like you might as well just dare them to do it in a
And
way.
I think the perception changes too. Like for me, I was always like, what could I do in this moment to try to give me some sort of relief? Like in this moment. I don't need to know what tomorrow's going to look like. I don't need to know what 10 minutes down the line is going to look like. Like right now, what can I do to try to get that relief? And those are all of the things that we lean into. It's the rolling, it's the ice baths, it's the cupping, it's the acupuncture, it's the chiropractors, it's all of those instant relief stuff. And I'm not saying that they're not there for a purpose, but like my mindset is like I don't want the instant relief. I want the future change. Like I want the change. I want the growth. I want the strength, where that for me changes my entire perspective on how I choose to move my body now and how I choose to work out now. Is I'm not searching for that instant. I want the actual change. And I think that for me, before I didn't know that there was an opportunity or a way to get that change, I was always searching for that relief. And so I think that if you're fearing people into saying like, this is the only thing that's going to give you that relief right now. And if you're in so much pain, and I get it, I was in so much pain. I was like, well, please help me so I'm not in pain. So of course I'm going to chase that carrot without knowing that there's an entire garden over there. And I can, you know what I'm saying? Like what we're setting people up for needing somebody else versus taking, ownership of what they want to be and how they want to move.
I think we chatted about this before, but I brought up the fact about in the 50s or 60s, there was a doctor named Dr. Klein who the whole knee over toe thing. Did we talk
Yes.
about that before?
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what's interesting is the fact that study that he published went, I don't know if I should give context around what we're referring to or not, or just keep going with it. But that study that he published in the, I don't remember, 50s or 60s, I'd have to look back at my notes on that. But he published a study and it went widespread, like it went mainstream. A public magazine picked it up and it went everywhere. And then everybody stopped going knee over toe and perceiving it as a very dangerous thing, because we saw that when the knees go over the toes, especially in closed chain dorsiflexion, meaning your foot is planted on the floor like a deep squat,
Mm-hmm.
your knee goes over your toe, it becomes more dangerous because more stress is being placed at the knee as the knee goes further over the toe. But what they didn't take into account is that the body adapts through stress, and ultimately the knees become more resilient if you do that over, like, in a progressive manner. Of course, if you jump up in weight increments incredibly quickly, yes, your joints you're gonna feel that.
Right.
But that same kind of concept can be applied to anything. If doctors are telling you to avoid certain movements, you are naturally and you do it, you listen to the doctor, you are naturally placing yourself in a position to be more likely to injure yourself in the future. You're taking away resiliency from your body.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that. Like, humans are meant to move and our bodies adapt to stress mentally and physically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, like, just seeing that that's becoming or that still is a thing, which blows my mind that that's still a thing with all the research we have these days, and just with how progressive the fitness industry seems to be. There's still so much of that where it's like, avoid twisting. I don't remember if it was Steve or Colleen if you said that, but
Mm-hmm.
that fucking blows my mind. That, like, who in their right mind is going to avoid twisting? In what world are you not going to twist your spine?
Right. And it makes
Try wiping your ass without twisting your spine.
For real, or lifting your leg or sitting down and getting up. You know what I mean? Like I think about it from a perspective of independence. If you tell somebody to sit on your ass and not do anything, how much longer are they going to be independent to be able to do said things? Not very long. you know, and that's always the hardest part as we grow older. It's like the older that we get, the more people tell us to sit down and not do anything. And it's like, no, I'm not saying you need to go and PR every day, but go get the other thing too is the heart rate. You know, I've talked to a couple clients or potential clients where it's like, I want to train, but my heart rate can't get over a certain number. And I'm like, but in order to build the muscle stronger, we need to work we need to work the heart. We need to work the muscle. You know what I mean? And so it's very difficult hearing people say like, just sit down. If you get injured, just sit down. But then you have other people in the PT world that when somebody has surgery, they're trying to get them up that first day. They want to get them moving like as fast as they can. And it's very difficult to manage the two because they're in such contradiction of each other, you know. And I go back to, society doesn't want us to be independent or accountable in our own choices on what we want to do in order to be successful. And we're talking about fitness. So doctors are saying whether they mean to or not, or they're training or not. That was one of our first conversations, Matt, that you and I had. And I was like, I just didn't know that didn't realize I was missing a piece. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you know, and you're trained with what you're trained if you choose to not learn more. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that everybody's doing this on like as a hurtful thing, but doctors want you to stay sick so that they can treat you. They don't want to treat you to be healthier, to make those decisions. Whereas working with you, you're like, listen, I can give you the medication. I can give you the tools, but you have to go do them. And I am the result of going and taking my own responsibility for wanting to get better. And so I make those choices to do that.
I think you have a good perspective the way you approach your training as well, though. Like, you know, you've done a really good job over the last 6 months we've been working together to pay attention to what your body's telling you. Like, you've intentionally developed a deeper relationship with your body through that process. And so you're not just being reckless going into it and just like stretching the shit out of everything and just like, well, fuck, this hurts, but you know, it's in the program, so I'm going to go 100% at it. Like, you've done a really good job at listening to the coaching and not just taking the programming at face value for what it says right here, but kind of like molding it to fit what we've discussed over the past few months, which is like, we need to avoid certain things. This is what when you see this in the programming, this is not going to cater very well to what you need. Right. So like, that's why I think you've been extremely successful. And, you know, obviously the work has done, your body has responded very well to the work. But I think the approach that you take and the perspective that you carry and how you actually intentionally show up to every single session very, very clearly, like you're feeling every movement, you're not rushing things, you're taking your time with it, you're aiming to feel the intention of each exercise. I think that is like one of the biggest catalysts to your success. Like, you could have taken many different programs and had the same success, I would say. It's literally just we're lucky enough to find the right person, you know, like we were lucky enough to collaborate on this together. I don't think that Primal is a magic bullet in any way whatsoever. There's nothing special about what we do. It's just that our shit is just different because most companies and most approaches don't do this. All we're doing, when it comes to mobility, I should say, all we're doing is taking classic traditional strength-based principles that have been used for decades and have been proven to work, and we just use it in a different context. We're just using it for mobility work, which is like, we're applying it to deeper ranges of motion as opposed to just like absolute strength, right? Like, instead of using these principles to move more weight on the bar, we're using these principles to develop better control and like a foundational strength of your joints and your movement patterns. It's the same shit though. Like, you look at our programs versus like various different programs to get stronger on your back squat, or like a powerlifting program or whatever. Olympic weightlifting. You're going to see very
A
similar
breakdancing
principles.
program. We breakdance at Primal as well. I just want to throw that out there. So if you ever thought one day that you wanted to be a breakdancer, didn't know where to start, Primal Mobility, that's your jam. Start there. But go ahead.
Fuck.
That one move was so fun. I was like, what is he making us freaking do right now?
Okay, first of all, dancers have some of the best proprioception ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that
True.
straight up. Pelvic proprioception on a dancer. Have you ever seen somebody twerk? It's pretty impressive.
I've
And
seen
then you
you
see
twerk.
like
Then you see Primal, what's in Primal Mobility, and you're training for that. Or hockey. I mean, it's all connected. It's all connected.
we're not specifically training for it, but if you go on the dance floor and you're better at twerking because of Primal, you're welcome.
You're
You're gonna get fucking laid that
welcome.
night, and it's our fault. So you owe us.
Making babies. That's Primal coming together to make babies. So speaking of the pelvis, that is something that we did want to touch base on today. And I figure that this is
Pelvis
a
wrestling.
Great segue.
Has a huge influence on how you feel in your squats and how you feel when you get that barbell overhead, which is why I place this as number one. Above all else, if you're able to maintain that control of the pelvis, you're going to have a much better opportunity using your hip range of motion, and you're going to feel a lot better and more powerful getting a barbell overhead. It's not just about controlling your every movement. It's also about driving power, right? Like when we're doing CrossFit workouts, like a thruster, for example, you're squatting, pressing a barbell overhead, squatting, pressing a barbell overhead. You need a good amount of power to be able to do that. The position of the pelvis has a huge influence on how you feel in your squats.
Yep. So we're going to talk about the pelvis. Talk about the pelvis. What you say in this is it's one of the most overlooked pieces of movement control. A pretty big statement. Why do you say that?
Why do I say that it's one of the most overlooked, or why do I say that it's just a crucial piece to consider?
Why do you feel like it's the most overlooked?
Just from what I've seen in the industry, I've been doing this for 10 years, right? And I've been talking about it quite a bit for many, many years, and everyone seems to be almost oblivious to the idea of how the pelvis plays a huge role in your hip mobility, as well as what's going on with the ribs. So naturally overhead as well. If your pelvis, like, we've probably all heard of anterior pelvic tilt. That's a very popular term that's thrown around, right?
You have to explain it to us. Come on. Remember, I told you, you're out. Tell us what that means.
Just
Show us
us
what it
instead.
means.
Just stand up and show
Yeah,
me.
just show us.
Steve, you nasty boy. He wants me to look like a bad bitch on TV right now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you do it on Instagram, so why not do it?
Yeah. Hey, that should be behind a paywall, man. So
you should start charging for those ones, those specific reels that you put up
all right,
with your
fuck it, we're all
dumper.
friends here.
So
The dump truck. All right, so these are tight. They're
Those
not
are
normally this tight, okay? These are not skinny jeans, I promise. I just got thick ass legs. Okay, so the pelvis, an anterior pelvic tilt is basically in. Who's typing something? Steve, I feel like you're going to be pulling something up that I don't want you to be showing everybody right now. So the pelvis, anterior pelvic tilt is basically in this position, which is why I said you want me to look like a bad bitch on TV right now. It's like you're sticking your ass out, and naturally it pushes your stomach forward and pulls your lumbar into extension, right? And a posterior pelvic tilt is the complete
thank you. Check your
opposite.
DMs, Matt.
Yeah, fuck you. $2. Shit.
$2.
Yeah, I'm going on a trip on Thursday. You know I'm about to spend that.
Yep.
And a posterior pelvic tilt is the complete opposite. Now, if you have no idea of where your pelvis is in space, that is going to influence the position that your femur sits within the hip socket. So I'm going to stand up and show you again. Steve, get your wallet ready. If we are here, like, look, femur in relation to the pelvis. If I move my pelvis, my femur remains in the same position. It's shifting how it sits within the hip socket, right? So if we're here in an anterior pelvic tilt and we don't really know this, I'm using anterior pelvic tilt as an example. This can be any position of your pelvis. If we don't know that we're in this anterior pelvic tilt, you can see it by the angle of my belt right now. It's like facing forward quite a bit. And we don't know this. We're naturally sitting in deeper hip flexion. So if I start my squat from here and I start squatting, I'm already deeper into hip flexion. before I've even started my squat pattern. So I'm going to reach my end range of hip flexion way earlier in my squat pattern than I would have if I was in a more neutral pelvic position. Now, the thing is that like we can have an anterior pelvic tilt throughout our day and get to the gym and not struggle with that if we better understand how to move our pelvis through space and time through our movement mechanics. This is why I talk about the pelvis so frequently, is because not only is it going to affect what's happening at the hip, but if we're in that pelvic tilt, our ribs are flaring now, and that naturally changes how our scapula is going to move across our rib cage and how our thoracic spine is going to work in extension to get the barbell overhead, right? So your pelvis plays a huge role in your performance as a whole. And as I said in that reel, it's not just about being able to move more fluently through the squat pattern and into the overhead position, but it's also about driving power through your legs too, right? So if your pelvis is in a funky ass position and you don't know how to control it, you're not going to get the same level of engagement from your glutes and your hips in general to drive power. And your hips are it's like the powerhouse of movement from your body, right? Like that's where the majority of your power will come from in your full body movements. You need to be able to move your hips in a strong way. So I'd say that the pelvis, if you learn how to control your pelvis, and this is why we do like really questionable
challenging fucking things for the pelvis.
Right, but also it looks fucking risque,
weird,
you know?
Yeah,
it's seductive.
Yeah,
it's
you're like,
it's a
you
little
question
naughty.
what program you actually signed up for. I'm like, wait, what are we doing today?
Yeah, what is this? What is this shit? And in the instructions, it's like, just don't make eye contact. That's
Yes. Certain movements, I have like specific places at my gym. I'm like, oh, it's one of these days, so I have to go throw myself in the corner because I'm not sticking my ass in the middle of the fucking gym.
Exactly. Yeah, but at the same time, that's the shit. Like, unfortunately, that's how you start to learn how to control and move your pelvis and where it is in space in relation to your lumbar and your femurs, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
we harp on that. I'm the interior. Like I'm
most people
super
are
tilted, and then I'm also hyperextended. So I don't think I've ever shown you guys exactly what that looks like. So my hips are like this, and then my legs go
These
back.
comments are cracking me up right now.
Oh, I know. They're guys, you can still send money. I'll send it to them. You guys can send us all the money that Dumpers commercial. Yes, absolutely. The eye contact part, no. You and Joseph be making eye contact all the time.
Just face to face.
That's it. Or butt to butt. Face to face and butt to butt. But I do feel like that is part of what has helped with my back too, because not only are we focusing on the hips, we're focusing on the core now too. So I'm able to feel the difference between like the movements, like the cat-cow, for instance. I'm not just moving my body. I'm actually feeling like I'm pulling my abs up, and I feel it more. I might cramp because I cramp on everything now, Matt. Like every fucking movement I cramp now. And so when I do the cat-cow, I feel the cramp higher on my ribs, but I feel the difference in my pelvis as I'm moving it. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that is partially why possibly my back pain has gone away as fast as it has. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, whatever is happening is working, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's a combination of so many different things. And I think there's, again, a huge testament to your perspective around things. I think your mindset around what is dangerous, what is not dangerous, what your body's telling you, and how you should be approaching these things, like that in itself was probably 90% of what you're experiencing here. You know, you've been dealing with chronic pain for 10 plus years. And if you think about it, like the mechanism of injury would have healed by that point. Your body definitely would have healed over 10 years, right? So it really was probably more of like a neurological thing than anything else. It was mental and neurological. Like your nervous system was trying to protect you and keep you safe. And like that pain was then perceived as almost like a valuable thing.
Mhm.
right? From the nervous system, not like obviously you see pain and it's like, this fucking sucks. It's not valuable in that sense, but
Mhm.
your nervous system must have seen it as valuable in some way to keep you safe, right? So that's kind of, I think, just a huge piece of this came from the conversations that you and I have had, and
Yeah.
helping kind of like reframe how you see your movement and what should be dangerous or what should be perceived as dangerous versus not. Like the only thing that should be perceived as dangerous is when you see 2 plates on the barbell and you're like, I've never fucking squatted, even
Yep.
close to that.
Yep.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Sure, then that makes a lot of logical sense. But if it's like a plate on the bar, you can squat that, especially now you've done it beltless. It's like, okay, that's not dangerous for me. And although it caused some discomfort in the past, this is something I can approach with a little bit more confidence, knowing that my body is probably just trying to protect me. Let's just go through the patterns. Let's focus on feeling things out. Let's focus on engaging the right muscles, focusing on the right mechanics, the right patterns, and go through the movement pattern and see what happens. And it's like your
Mhm.
body will then start to adapt in that way and take that as the new reality versus the old reality being like, it comes back to the whole expectation effect that Steve was just talking about.
Mhm.
You're seeing things in a positive way versus seeing things in a negative way, and your entire reality is shifting more in that direction now.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. Like I honestly think that pain is it's so multifactorial, and there's just so many different angles to it, and very different depending from individual to individual, right? And a lot of it can be very mental, which is so fucking hard to help people overcome.
Yes.
Because like having that conversation with people, if they're not in the right headspace to accept that, and it might not even be the case, like it still could very, like especially with acute injuries, it's still very like the mechanism of injury is still very present. So
Right.
yeah, it's not all mental, but if
Right.
that continues on and you like feed into that, then over time that starts to become more of like a self-inflicted thing. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you, because you said normally, and again, it varies per person, obviously, that most likely my injury like fixed itself at some point. But I also wonder if on top of the fear and the mental block that I was having, I was even more prone to injuring myself again, because I was terrified to try to get myself into the correct position, because I was scared of the correct position, so I could have potentially have hurt myself again. So even though like what you're saying, like most likely for me 90+% of it was a mental block, because I had hurt myself so badly multiple times, that I also think that because I did that, whatever that initial injury was, and again, I can't even pinpoint what that initial injury was, I kind of always got injured after that too, because I wouldn't allow myself to take a step back and think about what I could be doing physically to prepare myself for that. So as much as it is a mental thing, and because for me, I agree with you. I think more of my issue was mental and nervous system. And now that I can now have a conversation with my nervous system and be like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I see what you're saying. How can we move forward with this? Versus my nervous system being like, you're not doing a goddamn thing. And then the fear jumping on and all that kind of stuff. Is it possible that re-injuries can continue to happen because like not only because of the fear, but because you actually injure yourself again? I know that was like a really long-winded way of asking the question, but does that make sense or no?
I think I kind of understand it. It's
Okay.
like if you're continuing to re-injure yourself, is it really a fear mental thing?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I would probably approach this, probably not always. Like I don't have the answer to that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, like, my head immediately when you ask that question goes back to like the self-fulfilling prophecy thing. Whether you realize that you're afraid of it or not, it still changes your actions and your efforts.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. That's more what I was trying to say. Yeah. Yeah, like the
So
actions
you're
that you take because of that.
correct, even if you're
Mhm.
aware of it or not. It's like, okay, well, underlying fear makes me afraid of rotating my spine, so I avoid that more often, even though I know I should be doing it. I don't do it to the same extent as I used to anymore, and like slowly over time, I just start to avoid it more and more and more. But in the back of my head, I'm not avoiding it. It's just I don't do it as much, right? And then naturally, your capacity for rotation starts to diminish,
Mm-hmm.
and then you become more susceptible to injury if you don't change your the demand on the body.
Or
Right. So,
overdoing it, like you had said before too. Like if
well,
someone wants it to be fixed right now and someone's telling them, well, the only
right.
way to do that is to rotate the spine, they're going to rotate their spine too far, let's say, like
That's the
too
opposite side
quickly.
of that spectrum. For
Yeah.
sure.
So like it's almost like the extremes of like doing nothing and then doing everything. And so I think for me, I was initially the overdoer of like, well, I'm just gonna fucking push through this and figure it out, and it's eventually gonna work itself out. On top of the fear of redoing it, but thinking you're doing the correct thing. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing any of that. So I think there's the extremes on both sides.
For sure. Yeah. And that's exactly why this field is so interesting. It's just like every person that comes in is just another, it's like my brain sees it this way. It's just another puzzle, but it's like a whole new puzzle that you've never experienced before. No matter how many times I've done this, we've worked at Primal, we've worked with over 8,000 members now.
That's amazing.
It's always a different puzzle, and it's always a new thing to figure out. And it's fascinating, like where you find, like, of course there's similarities, and you do what you can to piece those things together to like increase the likelihood of success. Always, that's how you get better and better programs over time. But it's always a different story, and that's what's the most fascinating about this. But again, like what you were saying, I think it all comes down to how we perceive the pain and the positions that are potentially compromising. It's like those that really struggle with the overhead squat or snatches or pistols and whatever, and then it's like we cherry pick the workouts because we don't want to be exposed in that way ever. It's like, well, fuck, are you ever going to get better at that shit?
Yeah.
No, never. And the same thing goes with your current weak positions, your current positions that trigger symptoms. You'll never get better at them if you completely avoid them. So another principle that we have at Primal is spend more time in the positions that you wish to improve. So if you're struggling in spinal flexion, it's like you bend your back and like touch your toes and it's fucking painful. You feel like a huge stretch down the hamstrings and your low back is like cracking up on you. Maybe we need to expose that position a little bit more frequently, because if you go down to touch your toes and it feels like your hamstrings are going to rip in half, that's a sign that you probably should be moving through those ranges more frequently and applying a stimulus, because that to me doesn't just signal tightness. To me, that just sounds like understimulated tissue. And that's kind of like my perspective around things usually.
Exactly.
Is like,
you mean like a deep squat after an echo bike and jumping lunges? Absolutely.
yeah 100%.
Listen, I was so fucking proud of myself after that workout. I have to tell you, like, I was so fucking proud of myself to do it. The bike I went too hot, like way too hot. I didn't think I did, but I had 40 calories on the bike. And then my jumping lunges were way better than I thought. And then the squat hold, I thought I was going to be like Steve. I was like, if I can get like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, I was money. And I got more than that. So, but again, I didn't feel it in my back.
Low key shots fired at Steve.
I lasted a minute this time, which was like a PR for me. So
there you go.
Your wife was very proud.
Yeah, I held on to that load for quite a while.
Lasted a little longer.
That being said, I actually have a hard stop right now, so I got a dip. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, we'll see you later.
That was a good, good time for him. He's like, fuck this, man.
Yeah, I know, right? But I love that. I love that we're doing that. So if you want to talk, I don't think we've talked about it since the last time that we were on, but tell us about this new little challenge that you have brought into Primal for all of us to tackle.
The gauntlet.
The gauntlet. Where did it come from? Why did you get this idea? And why do you think it's helpful for us?
Oh man, it's something that's been kind of in the works for years, and
Oh shit.
it
Sorry
really
about
all it really all started from just my perspective around mobility training and my perspective around how people are generally challenging their mobility on a day-to-day basis in the gym.
that. Mhm.
And a lot of people have asked over the years, like, we should be doing more mobility tests, and what they're referring to is like assessment based tests, so like very specific, like hip internal rotation versus hip external rotation. What are the degrees, the angles? How is my mobility from left to right? All these things can be very helpful for sure,
Mhm.
but I think that they're overused and overrated in many cases. Like, you don't need that in order to make some serious progress. Instead, what I think is a more applicable test is to see how our mobility is challenged in the gym,
Mhm.
um, under fatigue. That is like a much greater and more true, more accurate test to what our capacity really is. And when I say capacity, I'm referring more to our joint capacity, like or our positional capacity. How can we withstand um, different positions under the barbell, or like the overhead position, deep squat, front rack, zercher, these kind of different things. How can we withstand those under different levels of fatigue? So the gauntlet, we launched our first gauntlet WOD, which was the bottomless pit, which is 50 cals on the air bike, 50 alternating jumping lunges immediately into a full depth barbell back squat hold. And the entire test was to fatigue the adductors, fatigue the quads, fatigue the heart rate, fatigue the core, and then get into your deep squat position. And how long can you withstand that? And so that was very interesting. I've been
Yes.
doing weird ass tests like that for a long period of time, but I wanted to bring it more to the public, in a sense, to like our end range program,
Mhm.
in a sense, to uh, show what I believe to be like a valuable component to becoming a more resilient human. Now, unfortunately, after we had launched the first Gauntlet WOD, we didn't realize the level of like logistical complications it would take, and how much resources from my team it would take to uphold at the standard that we want to uphold it. So we have to put it on a pause
Mhm.
after our first launch of it, until we have the space to be able to do it again and bring it back into play the right way. Just
Mhm.
because we like navigating it with the app, and those that don't want to partake in this, it becomes very challenging because we don't want to spit this out in front of everybody who also doesn't want to be a part of it. We want to make it optional. And yeah, anyways, just with app
Yeah.
logistics and bullshit like that, we've had to put a pause on it for the time being, unfortunately. But it's a fun idea. I think
I think
it's really interesting, and there's a lot of value behind it, especially with changing people's perspectives around what resiliency from mobility training really looks like.
yes.
Because, when we first brought it out, people were like, "You're training," or we had a couple people, and I talked to you about this, or one person, I should say, a couple people. One person in particular who was in my circle who said, your program doesn't prepare you for this. This is like a tough metcon. It's not a mobility test in any way. And that was just a lack of understanding of what our intention was. And I need to do a better job at finding out how to deliver the message of why this is truly valuable, and why this is actually going to help make you a more resilient individual in the long run,
Mm.
and package that with delivering it more appropriately as well on the back end of things inside the app.
But for me, like, Okay, fine. You know, you are a mobility program, and someone could look at this and say that this is a Metcon and it's not a mobility test. But I feel that every Metcon is a mobility test. So why not do something fun like this where you got to create it? It was fun for you to create it. It was fun for you to challenge us with it. But it's the same way that I am using Primal Mobility programming to get prepared for every single workout, Metcon, strength cycle, zone 2 cycle, run that I do. I'm using Primal Mobility to prime me, to prepare me for that. So I didn't look at it as anything different than you giving us a workout to do, specifically wanting to see our capacity on a squat hold with an empty barbell. So if that's your like North Star of like what you're looking at, like what are we actually testing? I think it was a beautiful test because you blow up the legs, you on both of the first movements, and then what you're asking me to do, and I wrote this in my post when I put my story up that when I completed it, my challenge was to not sit on my heels. I needed to be in an active squat while I
Stay more
held
active.
it. Whereas other people's challenge is to be in that full range squat. That's their challenge. But for me, I needed to be in an active squat, which might mean that I'm not completely below parallel the entire time. I'm fighting to get below parallel in an active position where I'm feeling it in my glutes with my heels on the ground, my knees out, and my back not hurting. So for me, it was the workout, the challenge for me of that day to use my mobility that I have been doing to prepare me for this. So even if someone wants to challenge it of like it's a Metcon, cool, sure. It's still testing our mobility the same way that you would if you go to a CrossFit gym and a CrossFit class. If I'm doing
That's exactly my point. When you're in the gym training, you're being exposed, your range of motion is being exposed under high fatigue, and that's exactly what the intention of this was to challenge or to test what your capacity was under that same type of fatigue that you would be experiencing in the gym. But usually when you're going through those metcons at the gym and you're going through the high volume of squats or whatever the movement is, we're going to use squats as example here, when that fatigue starts to build up, naturally you start to compensate more and more and more.
100%. Yeah.
So the intention here is positional capacity. How well can you maintain that position when your heart rate is up, you're breathing heavy, your lungs are burning like crazy, your legs and adductors are sore or they're burning? How well are you able to maintain those positions? That's what the test truly was. And then from there, we better understand where there's weaknesses to improve on. Because, all the most ideal tests in the world are not ideal, or in the sense of like understanding how one particular joint it moves in one particular function is not ideal in the real life when you're never really being challenged in that way. Like if I'm testing shoulder external rotation and I just like, oh, I'm at, whatever degrees of shoulder external rotation. Okay, well, how much does that provide me value unless I know that carries over to a full grip in the front rack position and I'm able to withstand holding that full grip with my heart rate up under 135 or whatever, for example, for a minute and a half before I start to feel like my low back starts to wobble a little bit and okay, it's time to re-rack. So it's like this is kind of like what we were aiming for, is to really, that's truly how people are going to start to see a little bit more of what their real capacity is on joint in terms of positional awareness and demand.
Yeah, because with Primal and with the exercises, you encourage us to move through them slowly, right? You encourage us to be intentional with our movements. But if I'm only doing, like, I'm thinking of the long lunge that we do, where
the
slow-mo one, like literally the slow-mo one. But that's not going to transfer over to the capacity of my legs in a workout. So I'm building the strength. Yes. I'm building the mobility. Yes. The position. Yes. But if I don't ever change that up, if I don't ever add weight
Right.
to it, if I don't ever add volume to it, if I don't ever
Learn
add
how to explode out of it.
exactly, like if I'm never
Yeah.
going to be able to change the tempo of it or change the intention of it, then I'm not actually testing myself outside of the very narrow realm of that movement. And so would you say though that Primal also is preparing you for when the breakdown happens? So obviously we want to be in safe positions. We want to be in those positions, whether you're fresh or you're fatigued, right? That was part of what this challenge was for me, was to still stay in a good position. But eventually the breakdown's going to happen. And what I associate that with is picking up the bar off the ground with a good position until you get tired. And then usually what happens? The back rounds, you're not bending your knees, you're not using your legs, you're just kind of ripping it off the ground and whatever. Is Primal also preparing you for when the breakdown happens to be able to sustain the and like to sustain the body and prepare the body for the breakdown as well?
That's, I mean, when it goes back to what I had said earlier, like there are no dangerous positions, just a lack of preparedness. That's everything that we're doing, is to make you a more resilient human as a whole, right? So when you get into these positions that are usually compromised, commonly compromised positions, so like spinal rotation, deep spinal flexion, that kind of stuff. If you're doing that in a moment when your body is highly fatigued and you haven't really trained those positions ever, even under the best circumstances, and now you're doing it under fatigue and under like a systemic stress, you're more likely to injure yourself and
Right.
feel discomfort and feel
Right.
pain and just have like shitty performance as a whole. And that's kind of like everything that we aim to do, is like expose you to those positions more regular, apply a stimulus so that your body can adapt to it, and ultimately help you get to a point where you feel like you're more resilient and stronger and can ultimately, you're familiar with them. So when you're in those positions, you know how to get out of them. You know how to drive power through them. You know how to use your muscles to do whatever the fuck you want to do, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, when you're in those positions. Like if
Right.
you're, it's like, I mean, this is not a really accurate representation of things, but like, let's say your kid gets trapped under a car, you're going to pull out Supermom and lift the car up. There's no way you're doing that with a neutral spine. You know what I mean? Like
we're ripping and going. I don't give a shit.
You don't give a fuck. Exactly.
No.
And it's like the last thing you need is like all your fucking discs just exploding out of your back. And so that's kind of like everything that we do is like, yeah, we look at all the things that are present within the gym, the deep squat, front rack, overhead, kipping arch. Like we look at all these various different things, and that's what we aim to improve. But the carryover from that shit naturally makes you better at everything else outside of the gym, because we're rotating the spine. Like we're doing things that also get you out of what you're normally challenging yourself into. So like, yes, you're challenging yourself in those main positions I just said. And we need to understand the biomechanics that are present within those positions. So we challenge those, but also like tons of rotation, tons of spinal flexion, the things that you're not doing in the gym that you'd see more in real life, that shit needs to be trained as well. Because like in the gym, we're very sagittal. We move very forward and backwards, right?
You do. It's so like robotic. It's just
yeah, you're pressing, like everything is just facing in this direction. Like there's very rarely lateral movements or like rotating stuff. And so it's important that we do that stuff on a regular basis and apply some kind of a stimulus so that your body's like, oh, we need to actually know how to work within these positions, not just stretch ourselves into them, right? So like I could sit here and do like this, and I'm stretching my spine in rotation. It's like, that feels fucking nice. But your body still doesn't know how to truly engage your muscles to withstand stress within those positions until you start applying a stimulus to it.
Yeah.
I also got a hard stop here. I got to go pick up my kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was so much fun. We'll do it again soon. Thank you guys for hanging out. Primal Mobility, use code GTP27. Use the link below. We appreciate you, and we'll see you guys later. See ya. Your kids have school